The sound of echoing pops rang out around 4:30 p.m. shortly after Trump took up his speaking position behind a podium on a stage surrounded by supporters. The sound was mistaken as fireworks, but some other, however, including members of the Secret Service, knew it was gunfire.
Take a look at what happened.
As you can see, agents from both sides of the stage swarmed Trump from the floor of the stage. He emerged with blood on his head and face. He was alert and able to get to his feet underneath his body. He spoke to the agents as they gave him direction, and as he was being whisked away, he raised a fist of reassurance in the air while looking out at the shaken crowd standing in front of the stage. In a statement on social media, Trump directly addressed the shooting in his own words. Just before 7:45 p.m., he wrote, "I want to thank the United States Secret Service and all of law enforcement for their rapid response on the shooting that took place in Butler, Pennsylvania. I was shot with a bullet that pierced the upper part of my right ear. I knew immediately that something was wrong and that I heard a whistling sound, shots, and immediately felt the bullet ripping through the skin." CBS News congressional correspondent Scott McFarland was at former President Trump's rally in Butler, Pennsylvania. Here he is now recounting what he saw and heard as shots rang out.
It was uniquely jarring. Again, it had that same sound of fireworks, that same tone, that same volume, and that same rapidity. A series of about 8 to 10 of those. It took just a few moments, though, for us to realize it was something much more sinister than that. There would be no place for fireworks at an event like this. I was up on a press rafter facing the former president from above, and those of us on the rafters jumped below to get beneath them with all kinds of equipment and tables falling on top of us to shield ourselves, and we could look out and see other members of the crowd, of which there were thousands here today, doing the same, kind of face planting into the ground, into the grass, up against the bike rack barriers that surrounded all the chairs here. We could see after the former president was moved off the stage, some group of law enforcement in paramilitary gear rush as a unit to what would be the former president's right side of the stage. From our view, the left side of the stage, about 90 seconds after. Soon after that, we saw 2 helicopter landings, helicopters that almost immediately lifted back up. We spoke to a lady who was in the front row, just steps away from the former president, who also described seeing a teardrop-style form of blood on the side of his face and a little more around his ear. And she heard him say, "Gotta get my shoes," to Secret Service, she says, before the former president was ushered off the stage.
We turn now to reactions from his main rival, his supporters, family members, and other politicians. This is what President Biden said tonight.
Look, there's no place in America for this kind of violence. It's sick. It's sick. It's one of the reasons why we have to unite this country. We cannot allow for this to be happening. We cannot be like this. We cannot condone this.
Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro says he has been briefed on the situation and that Pennsylvania State Police were on hand at the rally. A Democrat says violence targeted at any political party or political leader is absolutely unacceptable and that it has no place in the United States. Former President Barack Obama condemned the shooting. In a statement on X, he says we should all be relieved that former President Trump wasn't seriously hurt. He's wishing Trump a speedy recovery and is calling for a return to, quote, civility and respect in politics. Former President George W. Bush chiming in on the shooting. In a statement, he says he and his wife are grateful President Trump is safe. Bush goes on to call the shooting a cowardly attack, and he commends the Secret Service for their quick response. The president's oldest son has issued a tweet simply stating, quote, he'll never stop fighting to save America. House Speaker Mike Johnson says he's praying for the president. He joins a chorus of lawmakers on Capitol Hill who are expressing support for Donald Trump following the shooting. Among them are several Democrats who are speaking out against any acts of political violence. Also responding to the shooting is tech billionaire Elon Musk, who is now giving Trump his endorsement. On KRCGTV.com, we have a complete collection of reactions from Missouri politicians. This rally took place in deep red territory. Butler County has nearly 140,000 registered registered voters. 57% are Republicans, roughly 28% are Democrats, with most of the rest independent or other. The event was supposed to be a celebratory and casual gathering ahead of the GOP convention in Milwaukee. As of this moment, GOP leaders are still planning to start the convention Monday. It will no doubt have a very different feel with tighter security now on tap in the wake of today's events. Federal investigators are trying to figure out why a would-be assassin attempted to take the life of former President Trump at a rally in Pennsylvania. One bystander was killed, 2 critically injured. The shooter is identified as a 20-year-old man from a town 1 hour south of the rally's location. Meg Oliver has the latest from Western Pennsylvania.
Federal agents were spotted in Bethel Park, Pennsylvania, where the gunman, Thomas Crooks, lived.
They asked us to leave our house. They told us it was a state of emergency. No warning. They just knocked on the door in the middle of the night.
Take a look at what happened.
Sources say the firearm the 20-year-old used in the assassination attempt was legally purchased by and registered to the shooter's father. Law enforcement sources tell CBS News bystanders spotted Crooks shortly before the shooting and reported his presence to law enforcement. Officials momentarily lost track of the gunman minutes before he opened fire at the Trump rally, firing 6 to 8 rounds from an AR-style weapon approximately 400 feet from the podium.
We have to remember that even in these times where there are real divisions, that we have to address those divisions through engagement in the political and civic process in a peaceful manner.
Suspicious devices were also found in the gunman's vehicle, and a device that appeared capable of triggering the devices was found in the gunman's possession.
This is not some game. This is not politics. A real human being lost their life.
Officials want to know how Crooks was able to get so close to President Trump.
We are continuously monitoring information related to the event, so we're confident in the plans that we have, and we're moving forward with those plans.
Crooks' political leanings are unclear. Records show he was registered as a Republican voter in Pennsylvania, but previously made a $15 donation to a Democratic-aligned group.
The Republican National Convention is set to get underway Monday, even after the assassination attempt on former President Donald Trump Saturday. But security will be very high. Natalie Brand has more details from Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Supporters looked on as former President Trump's motorcade arrived at his Milwaukee hotel ahead of the start of the Republican National Convention. Trump's family says he's in good spirits after Saturday's attempt on his life.
Quite jovial, just wants to get back at it.
Trump says a bullet grazed his ear during the shooting at his Pennsylvania rally Saturday. Sunday, on social media, he said he would not let the shooter prevent him from attending this week's Republican National Convention. He's set to arrive tonight. RNC delegates and volunteers shocked by the shooting say they will carry on.
How do you think the tone will change this week?
I think just like any situation where there's an impact, an attack on the country, which we saw yesterday, regardless of what party you're with, I think Americans tend to unite.
From the White House, President Biden says he spoke with Trump last night and also extends condolences to the family of the father who was killed.
He was protecting his family from the bullets that were being fired, and he lost his life. God love him. There's no place in America for this kind of violence, or any violence for that matter.
The president says he ordered the Secret Service to review its RNC security plan.
The Secret Service is working diligently with the Milwaukee Police Department, as well as all of our federal, state, and local partners to ensure a safe and secure convention.
At least 24 states have also sent officers to help patrol around the convention site. Natalie Brand, CBS News, Milwaukee.
The Republican National Convention kicks off in Milwaukee today. There is heightened scrutiny on security after a gunman opened fire at a Trump rally in Pennsylvania over the weekend, killing 1 person and critically injuring 2. Federal law enforcement officers are now searching for the motive of the suspect who was killed. CBS's Sabrina Franza has more on the convention and the shooting investigation.
There's a heavy security presence in Milwaukee as the Republican National Convention begins later today.
I feel pretty safe.
The U.S. Secret Service says it's keeping its security plan as is. just 2 days after a gunman opened fire at former President Trump's rally in Butler, Pennsylvania.
We have accounted for various security scenarios that may arise, and we are confident in the plan we have implemented.
Former President Donald Trump arrived here in Milwaukee yesterday. In a newspaper interview, he said he plans to change his speech later in the week in light of the shooting. Trump also said had he not looked away from the crowd at the moment of the shooting, he may have been killed. During an Oval Office address, President Biden said he had a brief phone conversation with Trump after the shooting.
We can't allow this violence to be normalized. You know, the political record in this country has gotten very heated. It's time to cool it down.
Authorities say the gunman, identified as 20-year-old Thomas Matthew Crooks of Bethel Park, Pennsylvania, was killed by a U.S. Secret Service sniper. Investigators say an AR-style rifle found near his body was purchased legally and registered to his father, and that bomb materials were found in his home and vehicle.
We had graduated with him, and it was just something I would have never seen coming.
President Biden has ordered an independent review of the incident. The FBI is investigating the shooting as an assassination attempt and potential domestic terrorism. Sabrina Franza, CBS News, Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Investigators say the gunman's family is cooperating with the investigation. In that Washington Examiner interview, former President Trump said he is changing his speech for later this week in light of Saturday's shooting, emphasizing the need to bring the country together. This morning, we're learning more about the 3 men shot during Saturday's rally, among them a former firefighter killed while protecting his family. CBS's Jared Hill reports.
At a firehouse in Buffalo Township, Pennsylvania, time stands still.
He was a family-loving, God-fearing man.
Black cloth hangs around the gear that once belonged to retired Fire Chief Corey Comparatori, the 50-year-old killed Saturday. Shot trying to shield his young daughters from gunfire that broke out at the Trump rally.
Don't even understand it, how it could happen.
Comparatori was married to his high school sweetheart, Helen. After the shooting, emergency room Dr. Jim Sweetland, who was also attending the rally, tried to save Comparatori's life.
I looked up to see his family, who would witness my efforts at resuscitation, and the look on their faces said it all.
2 other men were also shot Saturday. 57-year-old David Dutch and 74-year-old James Copenhaver, both in stable condition. On social media the morning after the attempt on his life, former President Donald Trump wrote, "We pray for the recovery of those who are wounded and hold in our hearts the memory of the citizen who was so horribly killed." President Biden Sunday in a rare primetime Oval Office address.
We also extend our deepest condolences to the family of the victims who was killed. Corey was a husband, a father, a volunteer firefighter, a hero.
He wouldn't want to be thought of as a hero, but that's definitely how he should be remembered.
A community in mourning, hoping for peace. Jared Hill, CBS News.
In a private Facebook post, Comparatori's wife, Helen, wrote her husband, quote, "died the hero he always was. He would have it no other way." Pennsylvania's governor ordered flags be flown at half-staff.